Hey, what up, everybody? This is Steve Breach coming to you with the UFC 194 coming up December 12th, which is going to be Jose Aldo versus Conor McGregor. Yes, this fight actually is going to happen this time. Hopefully, if you remember back to the UFC where it was supposed to be McGregor going up against Jose Aldo, but for UFC 189, Jose Aldo pulled out due to a rim injury. It was basically debated back and forth whether if it was a broken rib or it was a bruised rib. One thing leads to another. Aldo's out of the fight, and he is replaced by Chad Mendes. A really, really great fight. It was a star-making performance for Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor had sort of risen to the top of UFC, sort of being one of the strongest drawing cards, even though there was a lot of doubt about Conor. Conor was able to beat Chad Mendes, but he did it in a way of... He did it in a way to show people that he could win fights. He did it in a way where he also exposed his greatest weakness is that he doesn't have that great of a ground game. Chad Mendes, an experienced wrestler, took Conor down to the ground and basically, with I think 40 seconds left in the round, tried to slip him into a guillotine and wasn't able to lock it in. And when they stood up, I think everyone around the world knew that this fight was over. Conor was on his feet. He was throwing punches. He really wasn't even 100% on his feet, and you knew that Mendes was in trouble. Mendes got struck twice and just sort of froze. Two more shots, and he was down and out, and it was over. I don't know. There was doubts about McGregor being able to beat Jose Aldo, but it seems like Jose Aldo is not in the strongest place with UFC. When he pulled out of the UFC 189, Dana White took a shot at him on SportsCenter, basically saying that this was the fifth fight that Aldo had pulled out of due to injury when they had already gone and filmed all of the commercials. They've done all of the publicity. They sold tickets. Basically, UFC laid everything out for Aldo to take this fight. And win, lose, or draw, he was going to make his money. Win, lose, or draw, he was going to get a rematch. Win, lose, or draw, everything was put into his corner. But Aldo didn't want to put his reputation on the line. Basically, the fight between Aldo and McGregor became real. I think Aldo is fighting for more than his personal pride. I think he's fighting for his country. And I don't think he's ready to give that up. So you can't doubt the man for when he has an injury, basically saying that he's going to live to fight another day. Basically, UFC delivered with the Conor McGregor fight. It was sold mostly just off of his name and did real well, real strong numbers coming in. The rumor of McGregor the rumor of McGregor and Aldo being hosted in Dallas, some people say it was never going to be. Some people say that it was just drawing leverage in order to have it in Las Vegas and get a better deal from the people there in the MGM Grand. But that's ended up where it's going to be. It's going to be December 12th. There's not going to be no dream show that people think about. But, I think it's 3 weeks after this, which is going to be the first weekend of January. January 3rd is going to be where the Ronda Rousey fight is going to be that a lot of people thought of. But this is going to be a big one. In my mind, honestly, I want to see McGregor become the real champion. Right now, he's the interim champion to the featherweight title. Both guys are coming in as champions. It's a lot like Razor Ramon versus Scott Hall, WrestleMania 10. But I don't know. I don't feel as excited as I did for the last fight. I don't know if they're going to go do a world tour where McGregor and Aldo are doing, promos on each other on a weekly basis, trying to build up this fight, or if they think that McGregor's a big enough star that he's going to be able to sell 194 on his own. But we'll have to see. This is the start of it, and we're going to see how we get to it from there. Peace out, everybody. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Steve Breach coming to you today with UFC talk. I just got done talking about Holly Holm versus Ronda Rousey and the soon-to-be rematch, which seemed that the fight is probably being put together backstage. As we talk right now, Dana White is probably trying to get everybody on the phone, trying to put together when they will be able to book this fight, seeing how it might be one of the biggest UFC fights of all time and probably bring in tons and tons of money. I can remember back the hype that we were were waiting for UFC 189, which was supposed to be Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo. McGregor was a guy that was built up very, very big, and back in July, this fight just fell apart. It felt that it was going to be one of the biggest UFC shows of all time. You had Lawler going up against McDonald. You had McGregor versus Aldo. There was like a world tour where basically McGregor and Aldo were going all around the world to try and basically just get as much people talking about this fight as it was. Conor McGregor, anytime there's a microphone, anytime there's a camera, he's going to put on a performance that makes everybody notice that this guy is the guy. And he's been trying to say that Jose Aldo, who's a guy who's held the championship for, I believe, close to 10 years, his time is up, and it is his time now. Conor McGregor is a guy that is sort of, as I've been watching UFC for the last year, maybe 2 years, I watch fights, and I haven't really been able to pick a guy. But Conor McGregor is a guy who honestly looks a lot like Sheamus, reminds me a lot of Ric Flair. He does the styling, he does the profiling, he knows how to dress, he knows how to talk. Almost everything that he's done in UFC to me has been must-see television, whether it's him doing weigh-ins, him doing interviews, him doing fights, him on the Ultimate Fighting show where it's Team McGregor going up against our Sacramento's finest on there, but fun stuff. I mean, this is going to be a great fight. I can honestly tell you that I don't believe there's as much hype for this upcoming UFC 194 as there was for UFC 189. I know that getting this fight together for UFC 194 was a lot of backstage talk about where this fight was going to happen. Basically, UFC tried to book the MGM Grand Arena, which is the home arena, for this fight to happen December 5th. Which would have been tomorrow, but it was already booked for a concert. So then basically UFC decided that they might take the show on the road. They started flirting with the AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, which got the city of Las Vegas talking because of how much money UFC brings to Las Vegas, and basically got them all set up to do the fight December 12th at the MGM Grand Arena, which is going to be going down. And one of my buddies from work actually has tickets to this, and that's one of the things that really got me really fired up for this. We started talking about Aldo versus McGregor, Weidman versus Rockhold, as being two big fights that are going down on the show. And I threw out there, man, I probably would rather go to see that UFC fight than go to WrestleMania, which then I ultimately had regrets about maybe 2 minutes later. But I've never been to a UFC show, and Conor McGregor is my favorite fighter. Chris Weidman is a guy that I really like to watch fight as well. So there is a lot of knowing that this is going to be a really big weekend next weekend, seeing these fights. What is there to really say about McGregor versus Aldo that hasn't been said already? We already got ready all summer thinking that this fight was going to happen. Easily, when you think about McGregor going into the last UFC fight when he fought Chad Mendes, and Mendes is the guy who had his own battles with Jose Aldo. I believe he fought him twice, and they were really, really good fights that Aldo was able to get the decision on them, I believe. And Mendes is the guy that took McGregor down to the ground and really is showed a strategy on how to beat this guy. But then again, Mendes is a big guy. Jose Aldo doesn't look like a big guy that's going to be able to throw McGregor down on the ground and keep him on the ground. McGregor was able to keep his cool, even though he was pinned to the ground, trash talking Weidman the whole time. Not Weidman, I apologize, Mendes, the whole time the fight was going on. And I just don't see that. That might be a style for another bigger guy to get in there against McGregor and push McGregor to the end. But I don't see Jose Aldo being able to do that. So I'm really looking forward to this fight and this whole UFC show as a whole with Weidman versus Rockhold. But it's going to be fun and it's going to be good. Uriah Faber is even fighting on the prelim card against Frankie Sanchez. So it should be a good show, top to bottom, and we'll see what's going down next weekend. Peace out, everybody. Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you with UFC 194 talk here. The pay-per-view is going to be coming up on Saturday night. Last night we saw the big fight go down between Paige Van Zandt and Rose, I can't remember her last name, but that was a damn good fight. It was a bloodbath. It was a Ric Flair battle from the 80s in a steel cage. Paige Van Zandt didn't win the fight, but she showed a whole lot of heart, and it was a great way to kick off this UFC weekend with all of these shows coming up. And the big one, of course, Saturday, Jose Aldo going up against Conor McGregor to decide who is the real featherweight title champion. You know, Jose Aldo, 25-1. Hasn't lost a fight in 10 years. Been on top of this division. You know, we've seen him sort of back away from this fight. There was a lot of guarantees given to him when this fight was supposed to happen months ago. It's been 11 months since this fight was set up, and Conor McGregor has honestly been asking for this fight for longer than this. Conor was actually trying to jump over the Seaver fight and get right into the Jose Aldo discussion. They ended up giving Aldo a different fight. I believe that fight was in Mexico City. I can't remember who the opponent was. But when Conor beat Seaver on a fight night about a year ago, Conor McGregor immediately jumped out of the cage, jumped right into Jose Aldo's face, which you believe would be some sort of a confrontation. And it was almost like Conor made it more of a confrontation than Jose Aldo did. Jose Aldo just stood there, held his chin out. I don't know if it was because he wanted Conor to take a shot at him or he wanted to show Conor that he wasn't scared of Conor to take the first shot. And that he was going to be able to take it. Jose Aldo, you know, you got to give it to him. I want to see Conor McGregor win this fight because he's the guy that really has gotten me into UFC and really, you know, been able to drive me to wanting to see a fight. You know, constantly, it seems like every Saturday there's a you know, what we'll call a big fight that goes down, and it's hard for me to remember who guys are from fight to fight. And Conor McGregor is the first guy to have sort of a personality that I can grab a hold of and want to see more of this guy fight. It seems that you know, Conor McGregor, whether if you love him or you hate him, every time that this guy comes up to the plate, it's a fight that everyone's talking about. Whether if it's because you want to see this guy knock somebody out or you want to see somebody knock him out, it just, you know, that kind of personality is what it is. Conor McGregor, honestly, as the interim champion right now, he's putting it all on the line. Definitely, he is a guy that's talked smack to get himself into the championship picture, and he deserves to be there. I mean, you know, he's knocked guys out. You know, the Seaver fight, I believe, went into the second round. And then, of course, when him, you know, fighting his last fight against Mendez. Mendez is another guy who's had battles against Jose Aldo and would have loved to have been the interim champion. You know, he was able to get Conor down onto the ground and he was able to really show holes in Conor's game. But you got to give it to the Conor. As long as that fight went and as long as Conor was on his back, he was in trouble. He was definitely taking elbows. He was definitely taking punches to the face, but he was smack talking the whole time, basically saying that you got to hit me harder than that if you want to get this win. Conor took advantage of one slight situation as the time was ticking away, and I believe round number 2, and he went for a hold on Conor, trying to see if he can get a late submission in the round. And, you know, the one brief slip-up, Conor was able to get on his feet, and immediately you knew this fight was over. Jose Aldo, coming into this fight, you know, he is giving up a little bit of height. He's giving up a little bit of reach. But he definitely has those leg kicks, which is going to keep Conor away. Jose Aldo throws these kicks they're almost like on television. You don't even really catch the, you know, how strong these kicks are, how fast these kicks are. It's almost like he's just throwing his leg out there, and this constant kicks just knocks away on those tree trunk legs of Conor McGregor. And if Jose Aldo is going to get the win, that's the one way he's going to get him, is just constantly keeping up those leg kicks. But this is going to be a good fight. This is going to be a fight that we talk about for a long time. Definitely, we haven't even talked about Weidman versus Rockhold. That's going to be another great fight on this show. But we're going to have to see what it comes down to. This is going to be a really good one. Jose Aldo versus Conor McGregor. I got McGregor. Who you guys got?